Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yunus Arikan. I'm the Head of Global Policy and Advocacy at ICLEI-Local Governments for Sustainability, based in Bonn, Germany, at the World Secretariat. It gives me a great pleasure to join your discussion today at the Political Bureau meeting of the Conference of Peripheral Maritime Regions of Europe. And I'd like to, through this opportunity, express my great pleasure and my humble feeling for your invitation to join your very important meeting. At the outset, I also would like to apologize for excusing myself that I'm not personally joining you, and I also appreciate the opportunity for joining you through this video message, and I'd like to thank you all for your support. ICLEI is one of the largest networks of local governments focusing on sustainability. We have members around 1,000 from 85 countries worldwide, and we are the networks of cities, metropolitan regions and towns. We have over 300 members in Europe, and I believe this is an also opportunity for us to improve our collaboration between CPMR and ICLEI, both at the regional and global levels. So today's intervention from my side will be aiming to focus on four main areas. The first one will be the overall a quick catch-up on what are the challenges of the climate negotiations overall. Then I would like to briefly summarize what is the current status quo after the recent decisions in Lima in 2014, and also the expectations towards Paris 2015. I would like to spend more time, of course, to the efforts of local governments, local and subnational governments, on how they contributing in this negotiations and our positions. And I would like to share some of my views on your ways forward as an organization, as a network of local and subnational governments from Europe, how CPMR can contribute in the discussion. So if we have a look at the history or the progress of the local governments in the climate negotiations or the climate efforts, let's first address one point. Local and subnational governments did not necessarily need a UN convention to work on climate change. Even in fact, 1991 was the first ICLEI campaign, Cities for Climate Protection, started when there was no UN agreement, because preserving quality of life at the cities, presenting more accessible public transport, healthy and livable housing conditions is in fact a priority for cities and subnational governments as a service, as a quality of service to their citizens. So wise mayors or wise managements have already been investing a lot in terms of these kind of progressive policies. And there's been a global progress, there has been so much efforts. Starting from 2007, when Bali was addressing a new regime, local and subnational governments have started to say that, look, there's no reference to cities in the UN Framework Convention in 1994. There's no reference in the Kyoto Protocol. So let's not make this the mistake for the third time. Let's give a role for local and subnational governments so that we can contribute positively. So this local government climate roadmap was a global effort of a global coalition of the local and subnational governments. By the time we reached to Copenhagen, we have made a big compilation of the local commitments, which was more than 3,000 cities all around the world was making these commitments. When we have seen that Copenhagen has not advanced too much, we decided that we should invest in our own capacities. We have come up with our Mexico City Pact. We have committed that our national, our local targets would be much more transparent in terms of reporting regularly. That's the carbon climate registry we have created in 2010. We also in 2011 adopted the Durban Adaptation Charter, which was aiming to formulate how we can respond to the adaptation issues. And gradually we have improved our capacity. And starting from the negotiations, we have made also good progress, because with this pre-2020 ambition, national governments also give more flexibility to work with us. Local government climate roadmap had mainly three goals: to ensure a recognition of the role of local and subnational governments, to ensure they are engaged in the global processes and national efforts, and to empower them with appropriate financial and institutional resources and technical resources. As of 2014, what we can say is that we have ensured, we made a big progress in terms of the recognition goal is done. This is achieved by 2 COP decisions in 2010 and in 2013, where local and subnational governments are recognized as governmental stakeholders of the global regime. In terms of engaging in several processes, there are some institutions in the United Nations system where there is more and more doors opening for local governments. But our biggest effort is how to ensure that we can access to additional resources that can enable us to implement the goals and ambitions we have. While these are the progress, we also made progress in our own achievements. In that sense, we have managed to get a global reporting process, which is the Carbon Climate Registry, which is capturing information from more than 500 local and subnational governments worldwide, representing 2.5 gigatons of the global emissions. We also have made a huge progress in the climate summit, where we have adopted a number of initiatives like Compact of Mayors, Compact of States and Regions, which gives us the chance that we have much more solid and globally endorsed processes. What we can expect on the way from now after Lima conclusions towards Paris is that probably we have 3 main routes. First, we have to work more at the national level. We have to ensure that our commitments, our achievements are reflected into the national processes. The national governments benefit from our potential of our commitments, ambitious actions. And this should be vertically integrated as appropriate. Second, we will have to still work with the UNFCCC negotiation processes. There is a work on technical examination process where urban environment is a core area and we should contribute in the discussions. But the third area is that while the UNFCCC or UN process is going on, maybe we should emphasize more and more our efforts on our own progresses, on our own ambitions. And in that sense, ICLEI and with a number of global partners, we are working on the idea of a transformative actions program where we can bundle holistic approaches to our urban development issues in a more low carbon and climate resilient pathway. We can present it in Paris and onwards, and we can explore how these will be implemented, scaled up with our friends of cities, with our partners, so that we can contribute and we can supplement the national efforts. In this last part of my intervention, I would like to provide a couple of ideas for your discussions as the Political Bureau of the Conference of Peripheral Maritime Regions of Europe. First of all, as a network of subnational governments, I recommend you to consider official endorsement of our local government climate roadmap. This proposal is currently being phrased under the NAD Declaration of Mayors and Subnational Leaders, adopted in 2013, with a vision for a strategic action towards 2015. And we would be very happy if CPMR can also join us and share our messages and contribute to our discussions. The second, which may take more time, is that I recommend you to consider accreditation to the United Nations Climate Change Secretariat so that you can contribute directly to the discussions as observers, and you can join the local authorities, local governments and municipal authorities constituency, and we can present a much stronger voice at the UN level. Other than that, I have gone through your technical paper prepared by the Secretariat, which is, I'd like to congratulate you on that. You already are planning to make a position paper, and I already have seen that you would like to focus more on adaptation, which is very relevant because with this pathway that the emissions increase will result to an atmosphere which is much warmer than even 2 degrees. Of course, as a maritime regions, the territories that you are serving would impact directly with the sea level change and the related climatic changes. And in that sense, you would probably be exposed to more disasters. So you should consider the economical impacts of your adaptation efforts, either to your damages and the decrease of your economical incomes, that you should start to take some precautionary measures. And of course, as a maritime organization, you should also think about the emissions from maritime is not currently under the global regime of the Kyoto Protocol, and in the upcoming regime will very likely there will be some rooms in terms of limitations of emissions from maritime transport. This will also impact your business models. You should start to discuss how this will impact your role your work and your members. In addition to this, of course, you can consider to compile emissions inventory both from your port activities, but also from your local and subnational governments that are governing in your organization. You can consider to collaborate with ICLEI and Carbon Climate Registry, and we can make those information publicly available. And of course, most importantly, we would sincerely recommend you to approach to your national governments and of course to the European Union, so that your information is reflected into especially the new strategic discussions on national contributions and adaptation policies. And in that sense, we can collaborate at the local, national, subnational, regional and global level through this global coalition of local governments towards a more ambitious climate action. And the goal is that there is no other way, but we should continue to work for a better world, better climate, for the better safety of our citizens. And in that spirit, I'd like to thank you all for your interest, and I look forward to hearing the results of your discussions. I will be more than happy to contribute as a follow-up.